and she is a very suitable person to talk about agroecology because she has been in charge and coordinate a lot of projects related to this topic. Okay, let me just introduce you a little bit about Shin. Okay, basically, Shin, if she is a national coordinator for okay, this thing keep coming up. Okay, GEF, SGP, and UNDP project in Malaysia, and that has been since 2015. Yeah, so I think almost like 6 years already. So this under the small grant program of Global Environment Facility funded. Implemented by UNDP under GEF partnership, and she has a she's very busy lady because she have coordinated a lot of UNDP project, yeah, responsible for the effective management of the program and its portfolio. She built a strategic partnership and monitoring and evaluate the project. So since I think many Srimas member knows, so we had our UNDPG and also grant, yeah, and well, I mean, well, it's good that we managed to finish the grant, and then on behalf, Shin have been helps a lot with us, yeah, by coordinating and make sure that monitoring our project, that make sure our project is in line with the what UNDP funds reports, yeah. Okay, this is but to make sure that we compliance with global with the UNDP grants project. Okay, before prior joining SGP, actually she works with, she has been worked with Wetland International Malaysia for 14 years. Yeah. Okay, and she managed a number of ecological and socio-economic assessment and developments of environmental management plans for major wetlands related projects in Malaysia. So I think everyone knows Malaysia wetlands is very vulnerable. Actually, this project, the wetlands project, actually not only in Malaysia but also in Brunei. She also coordinated and developed training material for training and capacity building in the field of environmental management, which include project on national wetland management training. They are also funded by the UNDP and GEF. She also managed projects related to conservation and sustainable use of natural resources for local community and indigenous people in mangrove and peat swamp forests. So she has experiences in habitat establishments and biodiversity enhancement for wildlife in man-made environments and constructed wetland. So I think she has been she works on that, and no wonder because she also her background of studies, yeah, with her basic her bachelor science, she has a bachelor science in forestry from UPM, and also then she further her master's science of conservation and biology from UKM. So all this is really we can say that with all her education's background, she did really prepare for her work to with her current work, yeah. And I think she did it amazingly, and she have a lot of knowledge on conservation and ecological project. So with that, I think Shin, are you ready?
Yes, Dr. Norita. Yes, thank you very much.
So there she is, our speaker for today. So I think Shin, maybe you can, I think you can start with your presentation and your sharing, I would say knowledge sharing with us today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. First of all, thanks for your time to join us in these sessions, and thank you very much for Srima's invitations. And very lucky to be able to have these sections, and probably I will call it not really. I should have a disclaimer here. I'm not the expert, but rather that bring some of my observations and my experience working with the community on this topic of the agroecology or agroforestry. So maybe I will start with sharing some of the the slide that I have prepared. So I hope you can see the slide.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
all
right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm choose a topic that I would like to see how this agroecology approach can actually battles the environment and also for human well-being, these two aspects. And probably I will start with the what is a small grant program, just a quick one, because I think eventually I also hope to use this opportunity to establish collaborations with many of us who is actually the expert from all around the world. And the small grant program is actually we implemented in 127 countries all over the world with the mandate of like provide grants and technical support for local community, NGO, CBO for better enhancement of the environment and their livelihood. So we are most of like work on the grassroots level, and this is a whole thinking behind it, thinking globally, acting locally, community actions for the global impact. And the area that we have currently focused on is all the time follow the GEF global environment facilities focal area. So we focus on biodiversity, climate change, land degradation, sustainable forests, international water and chemical. So globally, we have so far supported more than 26,000 projects, but this figure is actually increasing almost every day because as a fund provided, then we will provide more collaborations with the local community as well. And in Malaysia itself, we started in 20 years ago, and by now we have almost more than 250 projects. And current ongoing, we have managing about 56 projects at this moment. And in terms of agroecology and agroforestry, the very first time I came across this one was actually a guidance documents from Small Grant Program HQ. And I have very little knowledge about this aspect, to be honest, to start with. And I was given a book, which is calling the developing and promoting the strategy for our program. And when I flip inside the book, this is what I see, which is not very helpful at the moment, at that moment, because I didn't have much knowledge about that and also the practical experience on the ground. But what caught my attention was this photo, even though this is not very clear on the screen, but the photo that you see on the left is actually monoculture. And after the hurricane, that it seems to be like quite badly affected the area. And whereas the right-hand side, the photos which is using the agroecological principle have less affected after the hurricane. So this actually caught my attention that probably we should really look at around and see who is doing that and how can we learn from that. Because during that point, we're trying to fund a project from community or from NGO with regards to this aspect. But at that point, I myself also have a written knowledge, and our governance body, we call it the National Studying Committee, is actually in fact asked me, how do community know what is agroecology and agroforestry? Even the terms itself is actually quite difficult to understand, right? And therefore, I continue to search around, and there's some guidance to tell me that if we looking at the landscape management, we should look at the agroecology principle. So that's two photos actually show it to me during that time and talking about how a landscape, they should have zonations, managements on protected area, community forests, soil conservations, and those, and the photos that make me think, wow, this must be a place where only exists in the heaven. Because growing up in the urban area, I hardly have see this kind of environment as that during my work with NGO, we did a lot of survey in the forest, in pristine forests, but I hardly really come across a landscape in such a management system. Quite lucky that a few years in my third years working with this program, this is normally, when I grow up, this is normally what we see in most of the area, the plantations, monoculture plantations, like the rubber plantation. But at one point that one of our granting partners showed me this photo and told me there is actually places like this in Malaysia, you know. So they took me to this village. This is a Kampung Adutok at Sabah, Keningau area. So it's exactly as that photo that first time I saw, right? So it is a very, very nice village, I must say. In the middle, you have a big field, green field. And I was told by the local community that during the fruiting season, the community will bring all sorts of fruits from durians, langsats, rambutans, a range of fruits to put in the field and to share it out with everyone. And if you are visited there, then you will be able to enjoy it. Such a beautiful village. And if you want to have a glance at how the life in the village, I will show you. This is how peaceful this area, and the community, the women are very good in weaving. They have all sorts of interesting motif with the story behind all this motif as well. And then not long ago, next to this village, I was took into this, we call it the Kampung Imahit. This is a Murut community. It's a tribe in Sabah. And I was took into this area. It is a small hut area. There's no water, no electricity, but this is actually a temporary area for the indigenous people when they come out for hunting or they come out to go to their farm and serve as a temporary overnight area, or sometimes they will spend 1 or 2 weeks in this area. And they told me that this is the best area for them because just before they enter into further, I think there's another few hours more to their original village, and temporarily they stay in the settlement area because that area will have better facilities such as school and electricity. But this is the area that they will very much like to have relaxed themselves because it's peaceful and they have all sorts of fruit they can get from here. And one of the very interesting things is we were took into the area. They told me how to plant things as a ceremony. You know, we plant pineapple. And then I was thinking, how can that be possible? Because you are not going to be there all the time to taking care of the plants. So they introduced me this 3T indigenous knowledge about planting. So what does it mean by 3T? In Malay language, we call it tanam, terbiah, and tuai. So it means tanam when you plant it, and then you just leave it, no need to take good care of it, and later on you come back and harvest. That was quite surprised to me how they can manage to do it. So with their traditional knowledge, for plants that is suitable to plant under the forest cover, they will put it under the forest cover and put the marks there that they will know when to come back to harvest it. And for pineapple, they are just along the way and at a very open space and without needing to take care. I a bit skeptical about whether this is works or not. I call them this photo was taken during the year 2019. I have a time to talk to them a few months ago, online meeting, and I checked with them, did you already have a harvest on the pineapple that you planted? Then they told me, yes, of course, we harvested and share it out with everyone. It's so sweet, you know. So this is what I mean, the indigenous knowledge in the agroecological way, the principle, but they might not be studied as agroecology because it's just not the language, the bombastic kind of language they use. The life there is very simple, very nice, and they have almost all the things that they need for food and all, right? And I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about the project that small grant program supports us, and also, of course, we also learn from all our grantee partner as well. And I would like to start with some project in Sarawak. One of them is actually in the this project was implemented by Sahabat Alam Malaysia, Friends of the Earth Malaysia. So I visited this project site in 2018, and we start to have the discussions with the community. I was quite lucky we've been able to follow in one of their trips. And the most important, I think, urgent thing is actually to solve the immediate self-subsistence food issues. I think they have quite a good knowledge about the planting part of it. So the Sabah Alam Malaysia also have good experts who come along to teach the community in terms of composting, in terms of how to plant different variety of fruits and also vegetable. And subsequently also there's a discussions that is beyond the plant for food. Then they also are looking at how they can set up nursery for forest tree sapling. And the photos are Engkabang. Engkabang is one of the tropical forest trees that is actually have a high potentials in extract the oil for essential oil, and also even like making as a butter. So they started with their nursery and also planted out some of the plants in degraded area or more open space, and of course continuous monitoring as well. And the almost the whole village involved in this whole project, and with the ultimate goals to actually map out their area, because logging is still ongoing at that area. So it is quite important for them to mark the area and make sure that community still have the freedom to use the area to put that under the forest conservation area under the communal forest. And we will then move on to one of the area which is actually at the Long Semado at Sarawak area. This is an area with like very nice paddy field. Just now I heard someone from Barrio. This is another site of in Sarawak. It's quite similar with Barrio. Beautiful scenery. This is photo that shared by one of our grantee, Langit Collective. Very beautiful scenery with all the buffalo. And this is how the village looks like. And how actually agroecology apply in this landscape or this village. You can almost see that there's productions area, which means you can see paddy field in the middle at the valley area, and surrounding area you can see lots of variety of fruit trees. And I show you more, like they have bamboo, they have apple, banana, nangka, almost every single type of thing. And one of the interesting thing, if you talk to the community, is that of course now because of the influence of the agriculture in terms of pesticide and also fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, some community have actually converted into using that, but some community is actually still keeping the way free from chemical. And Langit Collective is one of the organizations is actually working with the community to ensure that not chemical being applied, and they want to sell the organic rice, and working very well with the community. And the community is still practicing using the buffalo as one of the important to for prodding. That there's actually no machine being used for the last 20-30 years. And the result is fantastic. I mean, the rice tastes very different and very good quality. And the same time also further down the village, then you can see a pineapple. If you see on the monoculture side, I think almost each and every inch you will see the pineapple. But whereas in Long Semado, they almost didn't really apply any fertilizer, but they just leave the pineapples to grow, and they can just come back to harvest, and it is always a good harvest in the collectors. And I tasted the pineapple. It's so sweet that you can't believe that this is a natural pineapple, because you thought, wow, are they putting in some sugars into the oil? It's so sweet. So that is what I meant by the traditional knowledge is actually applied. If let's say there's not too much of the influence from outside or make them uncomfortable or lack of confidence whether their traditional way of farming is the way to go or not. And this is another side. Now we fly to Sabah. Is I think 3 months have a very good training together with the community on SRI, the rise or intensifications, and I think apply in this village is a beautiful village where we have the river run in the middle in the valley and paddy field. And what makes this community so rich in terms of natural resources is just because of surrounding environment. They keep it very well, and certain percentage of it is actually as a productions land, and the other is still remain as high biodiversity forest, I would call it. And from I learned a lot also through 3 months in terms of the system rise intensifications. And in fact, I think this is one of the very important ways to go looking at land conservations, land degradations issues, looking at the climate change issue, and also looking at the water issues in agriculture. I think it should be further promoted as the practice in the country, I must say. So, sorry. Okay. And we also supported the project in Sabah, Penampang, Kivatu Farm. This is where the community in Sabah will come here to learn about nature's farming, agroecology in terms of how to plant in the natural way. And I observed this is actually one of the best area. It's like a home for many of the group. When they come here to exchange their idea, they even bring along their different type of plants as exchange with a different community. And at the same time, they also practices. We also supported some of the other area in terms of seed banks, the collections, and on their own initiative. Also, they have the biogas setting up and experimented it at the site, and subsequently, a small grant program also have provide funding for training for other community who are keen on learning about the biomass. Okay, then I will come to here and saying like, okay, after support and being involved and observe all this project, do they have really a lot of challenges along the way for the community? Obviously, there are a lot, but more than the one that I listed down here. But I thought of maybe to just highlight few of that here, and lots more that we probably is beyond our current ability to overcome it, like such as a government policy and such as a law in terms of the communal forests and all. But in terms of marketing, we do have some achievement through our project and also through our partners together with NGO. One of it, I mentioned it just now. This Langit Collective consists of 4 young men and women who are very entrepreneurial, I must say. They managed to work with the community. When I was with them in the village, every farmer who come and approach them, the first thing they will say, no spray. They understand it so well that this group will be willing to pay for a fair market price for the product, but the condition is like we don't want chemical in the productions. So they are not just demand for it, but they do it together with the farmer. So they experiment it out various way include SRI methods, include using different type of natural farming, biodynamic area. So they almost like being a farmer themselves, working out together with the farmer, stay with the farmer, experiment it together and see the result and share together with the farmer. And they just sent me some of this brochure yesterday to thank for all their farmers and their donors. So SGP is just came in and certain part of their whole journey together with them. Of course, they have many other donors that come together to support them. But I must say that is a way for us to overcome the market issues. And why I bring up these issues in terms of market is basically when we go to the community, one of their concern is not only the self-subsistence, but they need some cash in terms of looking at the educations for their children, looking at the health issues, looking at their home, they need to expand, they need some cash. So how do we help them in terms of reaching out to the free market? I think the whole system from the monoculture and how the market, how the food change and the market change is actually designed it, that the one that we have right now is designed it for monoculture. If we are going to introduce a different way or agroecological way, because in the agroecological way, we are not produce a lot at the same time. We might produce a variety, but we will not hit the scale of economic. So the way I see it, the new way of distributions need to come out to support this agroecology system of productions or nature regenerative way of food productions. So one of the way that how this Langit collection they did it was work together with a farmer, bring the product that I mentioned is mainly rice, and also they work with some community in Sabah on the platform to sell it in their website to certain shop, organic shop, and also promote it to the fine dining restaurant, hotel. In this way, they are not only help the community in terms of the price, but they are also make the community proud for themselves as well. Some of the farmer were actually brought to meet the chef in a five-star hotel and make them so proud that their product is actually of high quality. You know, it is not previously before they sell, right? If they have too much of the rice, then they will just sometimes feed their chicken, their ducks and things like that. But now they know that actually the efforts, the everyday hard work they put on the farm is somebody out there is really appreciated their efforts. So that part I think is also very important beyond the monetary part. Then I also like to bring this case, which I often use also. This project is done by Yayasan Kajian Pembangunan Masyarakat. So the community, this is a indigenous community in Peninsular Malaysia. So traditionally, they are not farmer. They are not farmers. So they are forest collectors, and so they don't really have the farming knowledge. So the YKPM, the Yayasan, actually gone in together with them to start up the farm. So the strategy of YKPM, it was quite different compared to some other community, because some of the community, they already probably know how to farm and they don't know how to market. But this community, they don't really know how to farm. They don't know how to market. And at the same time, they also facing a lot of problem in terms of their village or the forest being cut down, development and sand mining, all sorts of issues. So how the strategy works, it must be build the confidence and also provide income generation as a first step for them. And we are quite lucky to see that this project has progressing very well with also many other donors coming together with the community and the organizations. Now their product is actually sold in supermarket chain, Jaya Grocer, for those in Malaysia, you will know. And at the same time, after they build up the small group of farmers, then they expand. And the other farmers see how well this project going, and they automatically come and join. with a lot of hard work, of course, from the NGO and also the community. Now they are being trained in terms of like bookkeeping, in terms of the expenditures, in terms of the income, and now manage that the lady here, Asari, when I spoke to her, she was so proud that now she can even think about how to save for their children's education. Before that, she only earned about 300 per month working in the rubber plantations where owned by her mom, and they share out the revenue. But now she is actually earning almost like 1,000 plus 2,000, depends on the efforts she's willing to put in. And these are the community right now. They are ready because of the income, stable income. They are ready to now looking at water catchment protections, looking at how they can plant in terms of the forest, running forest, which is very much degraded by the illegal logging. And they are even right now in the positions to be so confident to mark out their communal area and in the positions negotiate with the state government for their right to further farm the area, reforest the area. And just now I mentioned also the land tenure. This is what the direction in some of the community that they start to mark the area, they start to have the community protocol and negotiations with the local authority. And those are the community level, I think, the kind of awareness we want to see, beside looking at the food, the productions, the long-term land ownership is also some of the things that the community is actually moving for. And in terms of maybe I learned from zero knowledge about agroecology. I have knowledge in terms of ecology, but how to put together agro and ecology. So along the journey, I thought it might be useful that I can share with you some of the information that I go along the line. Probably many of you is more expert than me in this area, for reference if you like. I came across this Syntropic by Ernst Koch, which is actually very touching to see how well he did in the Syntropic methods, and it's actually a method to speed up the processions and the successions and learn from the forest, especially rainforest and different strata, how it goes. And he is the man who actually convert this area, very degraded pasture area in Brazil, Bahia, into this forest after almost 30, 40 years of effort. So this gives me that we still have a hope for some of the degraded area. What we need is actually some skills and knowledge and willingness and to do it. I thought for the benefit, if you don't mind, I would like to also share with you this video.
¿Será que no sería más inteligente de criarmos agroecosistemas en que as plantas se sentem bem e nos concentrar só por o nosso trabalho que cabe a gente? Sì, faz parte do meu trajeto desde cedo, sempre estudando, olhando funcionamento, sempre comparando como que a natureza faz e depois mais confiança na natureza do que nos nossos conceitos. Nós somos parte de um sistema inteligente e não os inteligentes. E na medida que eu vi que faz sentido, ou seja, que faz sentido resultados muito bons, pedi demissão do meu cargo e comecei a trabalhar. Primeiro na Europa, com ecossistema lá, depois na fim da década 70 em Costa Rica e desde o início da década 80 aqui nesse país. agricultura sintrópica é uma forma de produzir usando os princípios desenvolvidos pela própria natureza. Aqui você está vendo, esse é o que eu cortei nesse momento. E depois tem um material de outro serviço, seja que foi feito há uns poucos meses atrás. Tem uns que são mais rápidos, por exemplo, aqui as folhas, então você tem aqui uma madeira também, já um pouquinho mais velha. Você vê o solo preto, criado pelo trabalho de 34 anos de cultivo, colhendo o tempo todo, sem trazer adubo de fora, sem trazer calcário, sem nada, só o manejo do ecossistema. Com isso, eu reciclo por ano aproximadamente 180 a 200 toneladas de matéria verde por hectare, que corresponde a uns aproximadamente 15 a 20 toneladas, 15 a 20 quilos de matéria seca. A agrofloresta permite de você usar adubos trazidos de fora, de você usar algum agrotóxico. Eu, no meu caso, não uso nada. O maior insumo que eu uso para a minha forma de agricultura é o Sabah. Veja, 84, quando comprei esse lugar, foi no mapa, nas fotografias feitas pela Ibama, foi o lugar mais fraco da grande região. 10 anos depois, eu tive uma visita por parte de funcionários da Ibama, me perguntando o que estou fazendo, que cada ano está aumentando o índice. Naquele tempo era 7,8, sendo que 1 é terra arada e 10 é floresta de galeria ou de mata ciliar de florestas úmidas. Eu comecei a trabalhar, usei em primeiro lugar mandioca, era a ferramenta mais importante, junto com abacaxi, mas o que realmente é o motor no início, quem pode crescer no início é mandioca. E usei muitos árvores, plantei aproximadamente 7 a 10 sementes por metro quadrado de diferentes árvores. O meu sistema, seja essa a minha forma de agricultura, é uma agricultura de processos. Faço agroecosistema parecido na sua dinâmica, no seu funcionamento, ao ecossistema natural e original do local. Eu uso processos de vida para disponibilizar nutrientes. Nesse solo aqui era considerado solo pobre, não recomendado para plantar cacau. 30 anos depois, faz uma análise e o solo tem um pH dos melhores solos da zona cacaueira da Bahia, apesar do fato que nunca uso nada. Ele vai criar plantas vigorosas que não necessitam de adubo. Cada 3, 4 semanas a gente colhe cacau. E depois fermenta, seca e transforma, seja a gente leva ela até o conchando e a gente usa ela como bebida e vende ela para bebida sem açúcar, mas sempre beneficia até o final. Além de tudo, no meio do caminho, a gente pode usar ela para chupar o cacau, é maravilhoso fruto. Veja, eu não sou missionário, de forma nenhuma. Eu faço esse trabalho com plantas por gosto, seja por gosto, desde pequeno. As plantas não mentem, não fingem. Os animais não mentem, não fingem. O ser humano, sim. O ser humano é a única espécie que gasta dinheiro para matar os irmãos da espécie dela. As relações específicas na natureza, todas elas são baseadas unilateralmente no amor incondicional e na cooperação. O que posso fazer para ser querido, para ser útil dentro do sistema? Como que vou cultivar os meus cultivos para que não tenha necessidade de ação contração contra ele a partir do sistema imunológico, vai ficar mais barato, ele vai produzir mais. Os princípios são da natureza, eles podem ser aplicados tanto com as poucas plantas que você tem na sua varanda, quanto em grande escala, porque as leis são os mesmos. A nossa atual forma é buscar os inimigos, seja, em vez de buscar o problema dentro de nós, estamos buscando o outro. Todas as civilizações que tivemos, já são centenas de civilizações, todas elas, mesmo destino, mesmo erro, cometido o mesmo erro, afastar a floresta. Por nosso mau comportamento, não é o fim da vida no planeta, mas pode ser o fim da nossa espécie, do nosso planeta. É uma questão de atitude, é uma questão de querer e de entender. Não tem escape, a gente só para poder produzir para o futuro, para todas as pessoas e dignamente, usando os princípios que a própria natureza desenvolveu.
Okay, check this out. Now, firstly, this is my calendar. I don't really have a to-do list.
Yeah, hi. I'm just trying to show back just now the back to our presentation. Yeah, this is the link if you would like to watch more. There is also the Syntropic live in Syntropic, and actually this I think is quite an interesting new concept that we can explore further. Beside that I come across of this book, which is also a very interesting book for those who are keen to read on, One Stroke Revolutions by Masanobu Fukuoka, and English version is available online in Amazon, and also I think you can even download the free version as well. And I mean, I personally I like to read a lot, especially on the subject I'm interested, so that I thought for like to just share with you. And this was recently I came across one of our grantee partners mentions to me about the Jedam organic farming from Korea. This man is actually Yongsan Chu, is very generous as well. I've shared a lot of the lecture, almost I think 20 lectures have been translated into English, but a lot more of the YouTube are still in Korean, and they have promoted the books through Amazon.com as well. Jedam Organic Farming, the Herbal, and Jedam Organic. I personally have actually bought the book number 1 and number 3, and it is a good read. Yeah, if you're interested. And this is their model farm by the Jedam Organic. They have planted a lot of different, tested out a lot of different vegetable and fruits, and the harvest is very abundant. I think this also some of the things I don't exactly call this agroecology, but I thought this will be good to share if those are interested in farming. And I also came across Soil Food Web by Dr. Eileen Ingham. It's also a very interesting subject to look into. They have provided the courses, online courses, but just it's a little bit at high cost. But I think it's very worth to explore the knowledge behind the micro in the soil. And I also attended some of the course on the biodynamic by Rudolf Steiner, and these farming methods is take into considerations of the spirituals and also the cosmic, and yeah. So And of course, a lot of you maybe already come across the permaculture by Bill Mollison and David Mahgreen. And I think all of this is part of my learning journey, that learning different type of farming, and also have a exchange with many of our grantee partners. And of course, at the global level, we also compile a book on community approach to sustainable land management and agroecology practices. You can get this copy free of charge and from our SGP Global website. And beside this copy, there's of course many other resources that you can download. You just need to go to the resources, and there's a library for all the publications that you can download for free on the soft copy. And for SGP, that part that I hope to also from this platform to establish some network and also collaborations. In our next phase of funding, we are looking at ecosystem services, how we do it at the landscape area, and developing together with the community and strengthen the institutional governance system. So our next phase of funding, which will be start in next year, 2022, and until 2025, the area that we are going to focus is in the Klang Valley, not so much on agroecology, of course, but the cocoa range in Sabah and also Baram in Sarawak. That will be the area. And our grant funds is actually provided up to 50,000 USD for per project grant, and working towards the various aspects. And agroecology is one of the aspects. Yeah, this is some of our link that you can get in touch about our program. And I think I'm end my presentations here, but very much looking forward to have a exchange with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shin. That's a very interesting sharing knowledge about your project, and very interesting actually. I'm really excited to see all of that. So I think we can get some questions actually. I think before I ask question, talk more about agroecology, let's just answer some of the questions here. So I think that go up. Okay. Okay, the first questions, yeah, I think everyone is really enjoy looking at the nice village that you picture that you showed just now. Okay, first one, okay, what is your opinion on agrotourism? Will it affect the agroecology?
I think the any tourism, even though we call it ecotourism, it will be somehow, I think the most important part of it is how we manage it. So for example, the village that I show you is so beautiful. It's exactly is a very dream area for many people as a tourist destinations, right? So I understand also from Langit Collective, they bring tourists there, but with a very limit in terms of the number of people, and that have to be quite carefully managed, especially in terms of number, in terms of the waste generated from that. Even like for many of the islands in Malaysia, I think the way we go forward is also not very healthy, because when the tourists come, they use up a lot of water, but island itself is already lack of water and not enough for the community. So I guess whether suitable or not suitable is how we manage it. I will put it this way. I would rather go for a small niche skill, and together with the community that they are comfortable to receive this tourists, and then work it out that way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Say when regarding tourism, yeah, we want to keep it together, working together with the agroecology. Has to be in the small number, and it has to be very specific, and there are some rules they have to follow, right?
Yeah. Some of the community, they are not comfortable with the outsider. So in that case, of course, we need to work it out with the community. But for example, even though I'm just as a visitor as part of the grants to the village, we stay with the uncle and auntie in that village. But we must make them to feel that please don't bother you so much. We are just here as together with you as a family member. Otherwise, they will be very worried. They will be thinking about how to prepare your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and how to spend the time to entertain you and all. So then they will neglect their work in the farm. So we normally come in as just not mentions. We are just part of the member together with them. So then they then feel comfortable to receive the guests in that way.
So you do that when you do the monitoring of the project, right? So you always visited them. I think some of them might know you quite well already.
Yes, but some of them we don't even mention that we are from GFSGP or something. So we are part of together with the NGO working with them. And sometimes I have also encountered in one of the area in Bara. We are just one time I was just sleep in the hall with an older nene, we call it grandma, together with me. And to my surprise, at the middle of the night when I wake up, the whole hall full of people, because as I guess, then they leave the hall and then they sleep in their room. But eventually their room is quite hot. Then middle of the night, everyone moving out. So the whole hall full of people.
Okay. So it's very interesting. Okay. Okay. The next question is from Irwan Hamid. They say, how many people have practiced agroecological agriculture in Sabah?
I don't know the number, to be honest. Like for example, just now I mentioned the indigenous people, they practice it, but they don't report it. It's part of their culture. They practice it. But in terms of our the grant that we supported, we have several, but not that a lot. Also, I probably in Sabah we have about 5 to 10, because some of the project is not purely focus on agroecology, but because they already practice it, they will come to us and saying like how we need funds in terms of marketing, or we need funds in terms of preserve the food so they can have longer shelf life, so they can start it further in beyond their town, because it is quite impossible for them to sell in within the same town area because everyone's planted almost the same thing. So yeah.
So when you say only around 4 or 5, is that a community or just 4 or 5 communities, right?
About community, because on top of it, we also have this project we call it Indigenous Community Conserve Area, where they part of it is build their communal forest, and also looking at the productions part of it. So those community are the one that, if like purely probably about 5 if you're looking at agroecology, but partially looking at agroecology is probably about 10.
So I think quite okay. Say if it's a community, then you can multiple how many people in that community. So I think it's quite a good number also. But it can be, we need to work harder to make the community bigger. Right? The numbers bigger.
Because in Sabah and Sarawak, we move from like a village. We most of the project is village based.
Okay, we have this from Freddie. Freddie Yo said agroecology and agroforestry indeed can have environment conservation as well as local community. The big questions always comes into mind is that how to put in practice to balance out a country eagerness to develop and becoming more futuristic. Okay, what has been put in place, let's say in Malaysia?
Yeah, this is the real main challenge. I think I guess everyone's know that we often look for short terms, right? Because agroecology is actually a more on long terms and sustainable way. And on top of it, our politician is not going to be look beyond the 5 years or the 3 years or the 2 years, right? So when we push this one on in terms of the policy change, we often face the biggest challenge. And I also observe one of the thing is that when every time we talk about environment, the agriculture department or the ministry is often not in the discussions. That is also a big challenge for us. Like we have like people on the environment side, we have like people on the science and technology and climate change, but agriculture sectors is always not being actively participate in these discussions, and that make the movement even more difficult. So sometimes I say, if let's say we want to wait for the government policy to change, we just won't move anyway, because we will keep on blaming on the policy is not changed, the land as such. So from our side, is actually we wanted to provide lots of proof, the proof of concept, look, it works, and then now if we are ready, then we want to have other people who are very strong in terms of policy advocacy. Probably Srimas is one of the things that the organization, we are also looking for collaboration, because our community is the level is at such, and how to bring this proof of concept to make a good policy, that is another level that we are working hard towards that as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's not easy to change actually. Okay.
Yeah, even for to transfer, honestly, to say like transfer from the subsidized of the pesticide or chemical fertilizer, even to change that is actually, I think, it's almost not
it's really
not
hard,
achieving any and even a lot of local farmers told us, like for example in the village, the Longsamado, the agriculture department sent them those material. They don't want to take it to use it, but they also not want to reject it, because what they worry is they reject it in future, there's any other subsidy, they then became not entitled, blacklisted or something. So when they accept it, they just put it aside then, and then sometimes the buffalo not aware and go and take it and poison the buffalo, so cases like this. But how do we really shake the people, the decisions maker, and make them aware this is unnecessary expenditure, and we want towards more healthy way or more sustainable way of farming? That is the biggest challenge. The elephant
I think it take a long time also, and need a small step once at a time. Like in us at 3 months, I think we have group members with trying to change, asking governments, agency to change from, instead of giving subsidy as pesticide, we change into the organic material. So I think this is a small step. That's why I say a kind of small steps to do. But anyway, they always need to see a success story first before anything they would like to change.
True, very true.
We have to show them that this can be done. Okay. Yeah, okay. And then this is from Yajit. Okay. His question is, how good or bad the monoculture farming for maintaining biodiversity and its overall impact on agroecology? How to convince farmers to avoid this without affecting their livelihood? Yeah, that's a good question.
Very good questions indeed. Because in terms of, I think based on our observations, of course, there's a lot of the benefits of agroecology as compared to the monoculture, but in that aspect, from the environmental aspect especially. And for example, if I goes to Longsamado, I ask the farmer, do you have pests or not? They say, of course we have. The rats will come and eat our rice and all, but that doesn't really bother them that much, because with the surrounding environment still available of other choices, the pest come is taking a little bit of it. They will not destroy the whole area. But this thing will happen in the monoculture. The pests come, they can really destroy your whole area over the night. So this is a very obvious comparison as well. And one of the important remarks from our grantee from the ground is, during the pandemic, actually those community have practiced sustainable way of farming. They are quite well and resilient towards this change, because during the pandemic, especially on the first time the last year, there's no movement, people are got shocked, but in the village, they are quite okay. They self-sustain in the way that they have. Whereas many of the community where they live in the area where monoculture, they're suffering a lot. They can't sell their cash crop to even the processing center. So like at one point, some of the community come to me and saying like, you see, we have this subsidized to convert our farm into rubble at one point because the rubble price is very good. And when the rubber price drop, we can't eat rubble, we can't eat. Then we have no cash to go and buy our food. But where else back to those times, they have quite diversified, even though during the time they probably sell a little bit here and there, but they never suffer in terms of no food, never running out of food. But this is actually one of the things that we want to emphasize so much. Like, of course, to convince the farmer, it is actually very tough. I have the questions actually with some of the NGO and saying, if the farmer, we have two manpower, if they have 2 acres up to 6 acres, what kind of model we actually can come up and recommend for them? Because we can't wait for like 5 years, 10 years to see the product. We need some system that can allow you for 3 months, 6 months, immediate one, and a site for a long-term one. I guess just now why I want to show the syntropic method is Unsquash actually have that methods, in the mixed planting is actually, he can promise like actually a short-term one, you can have 3 months and for this vegetable, and then you will look at the second harvest is actually for 6 months, 1 year, and long-term one, you have big plants, and eventually for the 30 years, you have a forest with productions. So I guess that's a way we need to have some example to show the farmer to convince that. I of course not convincing that immediately ask them to change, because if you lose like for paddy farmer, if let's say in Sabah and Sarawak, there are only one cycle. If they lose that cycle, they will suffer for the next year, because in sometimes they told me like if they have a good harvest for 1 year, they can keep the rice for almost like 2 years past for their consumptions. If they miss one, that means they're going to be suffer. Of course, this will not be the risk that we should propose for them to take it on. But what we can do is actually a sample plot for them to start with. That is exactly what we did with the farmer in Baram area as well. So they have the space of the land area for them to start with and get a skill on that. But some of the farmer, of course, they already have that from the traditional way, but it's just like they've forgotten about it and lose the confidence because of the use of chemical and use of fertilizer. And I even have heard farmer told me that sometimes if they don't spray, they can't sleep, have a good sleep, because they are so worried over the night. The next morning they wake up, the farm will gone by the pest and the slush, the snow and things like that, So this is a time need to slowly change the way to show them how what works, what not, and to be willing to be with them along the process.
Yeah, I think there's a problem. I mean, they already got used with a modern, so modern agriculture relying on the agrochemicals. So I think there's a way that we have to re-educate, the farmers on more natural way and on biodiversity way can balance out the environment, the farming environments. Okay, okay, the next one. From Tiaga. Hi Tiaga. Okay. Is a large-scale agroecology possible?
Yeah, of course, they I believe yes. Just now we see this Unsquash. They have he has 487 hectare, but he only used 5 hectare as a productive very and in fact his cacao sell at a very premium price to one of the best chocolate factory, I think in Italy or something, if you read it more. And why I highlighted this one also, they are continuously development with the big plantations, and they even start up with the palm oil plantations. They work it out with and I think there will be a time to come, even though currently there's a lot of experiment and people need to try it out. But I do believe that it is possible in the very near future when things start established. And I'm very much also looking forward for this type of possibility in Malaysia, especially that we have so many rubber plantations, there's so many palm oil, and that's the way I think slowly we need to work towards that. Because my main concern is actually this type of land conversions. It is so short term, and the impact for the community and for the people is so long lasting. Like we often say we Malaysians are blessed because we don't have any natural disaster. And even people say there must be a bias in the God, that your God came from Malaysia or something, like that we are free from natural disaster. But we have created the disaster by ourselves, by excessive cut down of forests, the cost of flooding, and the mismanagement of our natural and resources. And some of the area, if you read more, and I have project in Sabah, in Pitas area, the community need to spend about 500 to 600 ringgit during the drought season in the month to buy drinking water. Imagine that. They have totally running out of water because of the catchment area has been destroyed by the acacia. And this kind of impact, the mismanagement of our environment, that cause the kind of disasters to ourselves. Some part of the country is actually flooding, and some part of the country is drought, and people have no water. And when I say this one in one of our exchange with all the grantee, and the other one came to us and saying, this is not surprising. We in the island, Pulau Omada, people also pay almost the same. Imagine if your water bill we stay in Klang Valley, it is actually 500-600. That will we make a lot of complaint. But these people, community, they don't have high income. They probably have a household income of like 1,000-2,000 ringgit in Malaysia, but they have to spend 500-600 per month just for the water, and that is only buying drinking water. Not even they don't even take the for showers, for any other things. They just use the rainwater. They manage the harvest. I mean, I think this is a great cost that we have to pay because of the mismanagement of our natural resources.
Yeah, that's quite sad. Okay, I think it is. Yeah, come back to this question. I just want to give my point. I think it is possible to have a big scale agroecology, but you don't expect a miracle. Because you're talking about an agriculture, it would take slowly to get the environment that you need. I call it a balanced environment. So, but it takes time and patience. So don't expect. That is why, as come back to Shin Sin say, our politician doesn't like to see all this, because most of them have 5 terms and they want to see a very quick result during their term. So this is not going to happen for the agroecology. So it takes a long time. Yeah, I think even 2 years sometimes is quite hard. Maybe 2 years also, it's just starting, like you are just crawling. But eventually, yes, you can make it happen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do we have? Okay. Quite. Okay. From Idris. Yes. This is my student. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Is there any relationship between treaty concepts and recovery effort and livelihood? That is 5WS. I think treaty is what you said. Tanam tuai, tanam.
This is really the indigenous people taught me how you should look at it. Is that, I mean, back then they say farming is not so hard for them. Honestly, they just do quite minimum work and things happen and they harvest as quite naturally. They have quite an easy life, not too busy. But due to the current pressure, a lot of them, even young couple, they have to spend long hours in the farm and sometimes neglected taking care of the children. So that is something quite sad to see. But I'm not too sure I understand it. How about Dr. Marian, what is that?
5S, yeah, maybe it is. You might need to explain is 5WS. What is that? I mean, I'm not sure. Okay, so is it in three concept recovery efforts and livelihoods. So because he have there is a fire, I'm not sure that maybe Idris you can put more comment to clarify that. Yeah, so we can give you a better answer. Okay. Again, this is from Fitri. Okay, monoculture has rooted very deep in our community. That's true. Okay, it's involved other critical issues other than the soil and environment. Yeah, I think this is just comment on that. I think it's yeah, that's true. It because I think it started when Malaysia started taking up the green revolution. We want to increase the mostly they're talking about increase the yield, everything. So that's how it started. Then it's not easy to change back to the to what is supposed to be more environmental and I would say more sustainable way of living.
Yes.
Yeah.
It required some efforts, right? How to twist it around again, and we need a lot of example and support for the farmer as well, because otherwise they will be quite worried about how the future will look like for them. And this has to be that's why I thought of that the efforts from the real practical is important to put in practice, and how we can transfer those knowledge and do it together with the farmer.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think from Satyajit again. Okay, do you think mushroom cultivation is good for a healthy agroecology?
Yeah, obviously. I think there's a lot of promotions in terms of the mushroom. And of course, mushroom is one of the very important component in also the decompositions, the fungal. Yeah, I guess it is just the way how we do it. Like, for example, some of the example, I mean, we explore it together with the community, and they even think that you no need to create a room just to cultivate it, but within the forest conditions, there's area that you can do it, so do it in a very natural way, like under the tree. In fact, in the natural ecosystem of our forest, you will always see a lot of fungus everywhere. It's just like we don't know those are edible or not.
Yes.
But if those conditions can be grown naturally, of course we can introduce those edible one in that area.
Yeah. I think we now quite a few of mushroom have been planted in nature. I think it's very good. It's very important also.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. From Muhammad Fatir, I think water is very crucial for the project. I remember seeing an invention somewhere in Africa, I think, where the structure they construct can make water. Have you seen this invention which could be useful if water is a problem? So maybe like water harvesting structure, I assume. So if
I think there's a lot of the inventions in terms of that. I'm not aware this particular one, but as just now unscorched approach, right? Actually, when you plant, when you start to do that, for his whole area, he didn't even have an irrigation system. And what worried me is actually I start to see even a World Bank project in Vietnam. They are spending millions in terms of looking at the irrigation system and all. But my thinking is actually, if you are planting monoculture or whatever, agroecology should have the concept of like reduce the usage of the water. Otherwise, we will have this crisis in terms of water, because human needs water and agricultural consumptions of the water is very high. And we should really think about, like, if we put back the plants, that you create the catchment. That it is so important. Like in the town area, we probably never think about where our water come from and all. But if you go to rural community, those people who have no direct pipe water, then you will know how they so appreciate their water catchment. And I often follow the community to their water catchment area, where there's almost a no touch area for them, and that's where water and life come from, and support the whole village. But for a few years ago, when Sabah have the earthquake, the Kinabalu area, and when the shake, right, it's actually moved some of the village catchment area. So they have to go and find a new area where they can use a gravity pipe and take the water down to support the village. So I think more importantly, I don't think that we will be smarter than the God in terms of how to create a catchment water. I mean, a man-made one. I still believe that we should put a natural catchment water for our water supply.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's very important. So I think there's also come back to how it's important how to they plan their farming system. Yeah. So but I think for what with Muhammad's further questions, I would say maybe you haven't seen any of your sponsored under SGP project where the community catch I mean build a structure to catch water.
We do support a rain harvesting system by the Engineer Without Border with their design and support for the community Bajalau in Pulau Almada, Sabah. Okay. So we do support this one, but that is a structure for rainwater harvesting system. Okay. And then they go through the proper filtration so that the Bajalau will have clean water, because the water, the dirty water that actually cause that many of them sick and all. So this system is actually to support them in terms of that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any somebody is asking question?
Yeah, Encik Fazil here. I was talking.
Encik Fadil, can you speak louder?
Okay. The question I asked just now about the structure where they can make water. Actually, what I saw was that it was built something like a structure from some wood and some materials, where actually they trap the wind and the thing, and it converts into water, condensation, some condensation style, and enough to put a small family for the water consumption. So I cannot trace back, but it was very interesting to me when I saw that. So it was somewhere in Africa, I think. It was done by some NGOs. If you care to look, they just built simple structure, just the size of a car, and raise it up for a few feet, and then using the wind and the thing, and then it condenses the air, and then it produces water. So it was many years ago that I saw this. Now when I look at this, I thought in our islands where natural water is very short, I think if you care to look for these kind of things, maybe you can assist the folks in the rural areas.
Yep. I think now you mentioned this one, I should make some search on that and trace it down who can provide this technology. Thank you so much.
If I can find it again, I will probably send it to you all. But I remember seeing it, it was featured.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment as well in relation
yes,
to
Dr. Anizan, yeah.
water issue? I made a comment in the chat group. There's Sambaf, an NGO in Odisha, led by Sabamati, and now her father, who's recently deceased, Professor Radha Mohan. They reclaim a degraded land in Nagar, Odisha. I don't know if you know of the place, but they managed to bring back to life a place that is completely dry, completely barren, and now it is like a forest with crops within. And they also managed to, within this place, I think it's about 10 hectares, they have conserved about 500 varieties of rice through the SRI method, and hundreds of other crops like mangoes and vegetables, all through organic system. But what's also interesting is that they have managed to create lakes and streams in this in this landscape. And I think one of the strategies is to plant bamboos, because bamboo has this capacity to conserve water within the soil. And I think it would be interesting to talk to Sabarmati. I actually asked Sabarmati if she can be one of our speakers for this series, but she's a little too shy. And perhaps if the committee can convince her that it is so important for her to share her experience, I think it will be good. By the way, both of them, she and her father, actually received a national award for conservation. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the Anissa for the sharing. That's good to know. Yeah, the success story of conservation. Yeah. Okay. I think we have to come back with this a question here from Chen Xingwang. Yeah. What is the best way to convince a farmer who rejects agroecology methods in favor for modern agriculture methods? Because he said yes, but we need to make money.
we need to change the thinking, you know. For me, I think agroecology doesn't mean like cut off your earning. We need to make the system is actually I call it working with nature. Let the nature be part of it to working for you, rather than you have to work from, like, the farmers go out at 4 o'clock in the morning, work until evening. But if a system that allows you to have them work with you, which means your working hour is lesser than that, have a better quality of life, and on top of it, you are looking at the selling at a premium price. Or because I always believe that, especially things like cocoa and coffee and all, you need to have this kind of biodiversity to make the product quality. So I mean, I really personally, I'm very keen to look at that matters, and I believe that there is a way, because towards talking with some orang asli in Peninsular Malaysia as well, and they will inform our durian kampung have a very, very special taste because of their surrounding environment, maybe from the soil, maybe from the way the pollinations and all. So I don't equal that agroecology means less money. That's why I keep on mentioning that actually there must be a way for us to market our product differently, because the current market change, supply chain we have is based on mass productions and monoculture way, but not yet change it to high quality agroecology products. That's my thinking. I think that there will be a future to come, and people currently are looking at high quality. In fact, one of our grantee mentions that they have a coffee brewer who actually, or the cafe, looking at high quality coffee the beans that from the original forest or the surrounding environment, rather than from the plantations, because what they want to pay is the quality.
Yeah, I think also I think it's again a change of mindset. Yeah, to let them to go and into agroecology, sustainable farming. So I just want to share. I said, talking about quality, it was surprising. I have one friend who was organic farm, own organic farms. So he was saying that during this pandemic, the demands for his organic products is much higher.
Yep.
Actually. Yeah, because it turned out to be a lot of people rarely go out to eat, and when they cook, they want to have a much more quality produce for their own family. So because they do it like online, they do online marketing. So that's why I think that shown that they have his farm. Actually, he do just a small farm, around 5 acres. Yeah. So and then that is how he has a very good market compared to before pandemic. the price of organic products is not very high, and then also it's not very competitive to the amounts that work they have to put in.
Yep.
But yeah, so
Exactly.
I think that's why they have to see the success story, and also I think most important thing is marketing of the. We need to know where if they can get more premium markets for these agroecology products. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
I think the supply change, probably we need to look at how to readjust it better for this type of selling rather than bulk or in big quantity.
Yeah. So I think, okay, it trace as I explained just now, 5S stand for who is doing what, where, and whom. So go back to his questions, between like treaty concept and recovery effort, and I think it's different maybe. I think treaty is basically you just planted, right?
Yeah, and then you don't do anything, let the nature do it for you, and you trust the nature will do a good job, and then you just come back to harvest. So this is part of their belief in the traditional community. Some of them practice this one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really like
that we wouldn't be busy to distribute the job, who to do what and where and how and whom. We just
it's a
trust the
community.
nature.
Everyone knows. Yes, they will do that happily. Yeah. Okay. So I think we almost on time now. It's already 10:30. Okay, I have another one. Xingwan said might have to have a database of farmers who have succeeded. Yeah, I think might be because what do you think? Having a database of farmers successful in agroecology system?
Yeah, I think if a few organizations come together, especially those who work with the community, easily we can pull together. I think even we should actually organize something for the exchange and learning from each other for those who less confidence or not ready yet, and learn from those. I think that will be beneficial.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, I think we have finished reached our time. It's already 1.5 hour. We take very fast, Shin.
Yeah, I thought I will kind of like pengsan halfway, because it's like, wow, so many people from different areas, and I'm not the real expert who can talk this topic well.
Yeah, it's okay. That's why I said I think that's how the 3 months webinar is. We are basically most of the time our webinar more is like sharing sessions. Yeah, so we don't expect for them very technical, but we like to we have a speakers that work on the ground. So we want to see what's actually happening on the ground. So anyway, on behalf of the 3 months, she said we really like to thank you, for your contribution today. Yeah, and for the also for all the participants who participated tonight. Yeah, I hope everyone had a very good sharing sessions and more informations about what agroecology is about and how is the situations currently. So I think anyway, I would like maybe Dr. Anizan or anyone from SRIMAS, you want to say 1 or 2 words?
I wish to thank Dr. Ani who sent me the link. I'm actually,
Dr. Annie, our strong lady in SRIMAS. Annie, why did you show yourself?
You are most welcome. Wait.
Dr. Annie.
Dr. Ani, thank you. I don't know how you got my link, but
I somehow I have your your number. Yeah. So yeah, and
I am from ISP, the Incorporated Society of Planters. I'm the deputy chairman.
Okay.
So when I saw this, I was interested to hear. But I think we met at some of the meetings, MPOB or UPM himself. Thank you. And
So the participant, don't forget to fill in the Google form. Yeah, so for you to get your certificate of participation. They are say thank you again and good night and have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Rosalie.
you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Really appreciate.
Bye.
Don't forget.
Thank you very much.
End
Thank
of
you
the
all.
month.
Thank you.
At
Everyone.
end of the month, we also have another session.
Thank
Yeah. So
you.
this is every month. So